You are listening to Podcasting 101 with RSS.com, getting you ready to launch and grow your podcast.
Hey everyone, Ashley here with RSS.com. In this episode, we're chatting with Monica Louie all about leveraging Facebook ads to increase your podcast downloads. Enjoy the show.
Well, hey everyone, I'm so excited to have, is it Monica Louie or Louie?
Louie.
Louie, okay.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to have Monica Louie here to talk about Facebook ads for podcasting. So let's just jump right in. Can you tell us a little bit about what it is you do?
Absolutely. So thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. It's nice to see you again. Chat again. So my name is Monica Louie. I'm a Facebook and Instagram ads strategist. And so I have my own agency where we manage ads for 6, 7, and 8-figure online businesses. And I also teach. So I say I have an agency and education company around Facebook ads. So I teach and speak about Facebook ads. I love interacting with people and helping people get over that hurdle of getting started with Facebook ads and having great success with Facebook and Instagram ads.
Now, how did you get into the world of Facebook ads?
Yes. Okay. So, well, geez. So I started off with a blog. I'll go back. I left my corporate job. I was looking for a way to make money from home on my own time, on my own schedule. Well, I was, I had 2 little bitty kids when I started my blog. And so I started my blog. Turns out after I left my corporate job, my husband and I found ourselves in a precarious financial situation that we just did not feel comfortable with. Going from 2 incomes down to 1, we thought we were being smart. Well, we tried to be smart. We built up savings. We paid off our car, tried to put ourselves in a good position going from 2 incomes down to 1. Well, we saw our savings start to dip, and that just made us really nervous. So I was like, okay, I don't want to have to go back to work right now. I know I could if I wanted to, but I really don't want to. I want to spend this time with my little. And so I was like, I'm going to figure this out. So turns out we ended up kind of following the Dave Ramsey plan of paying off debt really fast. And so we ended up paying off $120,000 of debt in 2 years, all on a single middle class income. And I like to share that my husband is in law enforcement. So he's not an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer. It wasn't like we had all this extra disposable income. It really came from hustling and being committed to our goal. So with that, I learned about blogging along the way. That was a good way to build an income from home on your own schedule, on your own terms. And so once people started asking how we had paid off the debt, I was like, that is what I can blog about. I can help others do the same thing. So I started off with the blog, and with the blog, I just thought, traffic would come to me, and turns out that's not the case. So I started following people like Pat Flynn, Amy Porterfield, and Amy Porterfield shared the wonders of Facebook ads. And with just a little bit of investment, you can drive targeted traffic to your offerings. And so I ran my own campaigns to grow my blog and had really great success with them. And as I was building my community or my network online in the personal finance space, people started to reach out for my help with Facebook and Instagram ads. So that was way back in 2016. I ended up selling the blog and transitioning to go headfirst into the world of Facebook and Instagram ads. And it's been a wonderful ride ever since.
Wow. So basically you did all the trial and error, you learned all the things, and now you teach all the things.
Yes, I teach all the things and we love it. I have a great team and we manage ads for our clients. We have such fun doing it. There have definitely been challenges along the way, but it's been a lot of fun and we're still getting great success. And so I love to teach and help others achieve that success as well.
Wow. So I can't even imagine, like, you have a blog and you just decide, hey, I'm going to start spending money on Facebook ads. What was that like for you? What did that feel like going from I'm just trying to get traffic to I'm actually putting my money into this?
Yes. So I was very, very nervous. So my husband and I were still paying off debt. So we were really watching every penny, and my blog was not yet making very much money. But I knew that I had an important message to share. I knew that there were people out there that wanted to hear success stories like ours and to hear the steps that we took. And, we're looking for that information, but I just had to get my offerings in front of them. So I was very nervous. I was very scared. I just was like holding my, hitting publish, but I'm a very good student. So I followed what Amy said to do step by step, and I turned on my campaign and I had really great success. My first campaign, it was to promote my webinar, my freedom training. And that was at the fall of 2015. And then I did it again in January of 2016. had really good success. I tweaked my ad, and my husband was my graphic designer at the time. Not professional by any means, but he was way better than what I could do. And so I just laugh at that graphic that I used in the ad. It caught attention. It worked. I got better results the second time around. And that's when people started to hear that, hey, I know a thing or two about Facebook ads.
Well, it's like Shane Sams always says, done is better than perfect. So
Yeah.
I definitely understand, the cringe mode of looking back at, because I look back at some of the graphics that I've even used to use, and nowadays, like, they're much better because you're using Canva and things like that. But so it sounds like whenever you were doing those Facebook ads, you were driving traffic to a paid offer. Is that right?
It was to my free webinar. And then I had a coaching program helping people create their debt freedom plan at the time. And so that's what I would offer on the back end.
That's awesome. I absolutely love that. So, okay, transitioning from going from blogging to now you're doing Facebook ads for more than just trying to drive traffic to a blog. How in the world did podcasting come into what you started doing? Because I know you had a podcast for a while. How did all that come about?
Yeah. So I've always loved, as soon as I discovered podcasts in 2012, that was really what inspired me to even take the leap and leave my job and figure out a way to make money from home on my own schedule on my own shows. And so I started back then. One of my first podcasts was Michael Hyatt's first podcast. I know he's had a few now, but his very first podcast. And so he was talking about blogging. So there, he got me interested in blogging. And then I was listening to other blogging podcasts, and they mentioned plan and passive income. So, okay, fine, I'll check this out. So, I started listening to Pat's, and then that really sealed the deal that he was sharing success stories of people, who are just normal people who had figured out a way to help people online and make money with it. So that really inspired me to take the leap as well. And then through Pat and I don't know, maybe Michael Hyatt, I heard Amy Porterfield's name, coming around, and she had a podcast. So I started listening to her podcast. And so I just looked back that, all these people, all these mentors along the way, so helped me, achieve my goals in building my business online. I developed a relationship, using them as my virtual mentor, through their podcast. And that's how it all started. And so that was really the desire for me to have my own podcast, to build a relationship with my potential clients, potential customers, and really just, share what I was learning, whether it's, about Facebook ads or other things in my business, building a team, scaling, all the challenges that we face. And then I just love the part of bringing on other experts to have conversations like this and to share their expertise. So I love hanging out with other entrepreneurs, other people building things online. And so podcasting has been a great way to do that.
Well, you had already been on my radar because you and I had met at Podcast Movement in 2019. But what got you back on my radar is I was searching some stuff about how to get more downloads for a podcast, and your name came up. And a podcast episode that you had about using Facebook ads to get more podcast downloads, I was like, I got to have her on. Like, she's got to be on this show. So tell me a little bit about using Facebook ads to get more podcast downloads. Is it actually possible?
Yes. So this is a strategy that I've talked about at Podcast Movement, and something that we've done with several of our clients who have podcasts. A lot of times they see that growing their podcast, those loyal listeners are the ones that end up converting into buying their products, their programs down the road. So if they can just grow their podcast and get more of those, diehard listeners, diehard fans, then that will lead to more sales down the road. So it's really a long-term play. But we have been able to successfully do that. And so the challenge with that, though, is that there's no good way of tracking the download, increase or, our subscribers at all or anything like that. It's really difficult when Facebook and Instagram ads, the ads manager does a pretty good job. It's not always completely accurate, but it does a pretty good job of helping us track our opt-ins and sales from our. But with podcasts, downloads, it's a completely different world. And so there's no good way to really track that. So what we just kind of look for is, as we're doing this strategy, is there a general lift in download? Are we seeing just generally that the podcast we're promoting or, the show itself is just kind of getting more attention, more downloads than before we were running ads? So it's not really perfect. It's not really ideal, but I do think that it is a viable way to grow your show and get more attention to your show.
Now, with the strategy of using Facebook ads to get downloads, do you recommend that people direct the traffic to the actual podcast, or should they go to a website that gives them an opt-in to then find out about the podcast? What do you think about that?
Yeah. So I've tested it both ways, because you can take your, what is it called these days? It used to be an iTunes link, Apple Podcast link. And so you used to be able to take that, and then you can filter to just target people with iPhones, for example, and put that link in the ad. So then they click on the ad, and then it will ask them to open their podcast app to go listen to the show. However, that is not the way that I prefer, just because there's a lot of friction with that. Because if you're in, Facebook or Instagram, and then it says, oh, do you want to go open this other app? A lot of times, many of us are going to just be like, no, not right now, and so you can't really then track. You kind of lost the benefit of that click, of people engaging with the ad. So, my preferred method is to drive traffic to your show notes page. If you have a specific page for each show, or your general podcast page, where it talks about your show, and have your Facebook pixel installed. So your Facebook pixel is a piece of code that Facebook gives you, and it's unique to your ad account. And it helps track, even though if you can't track the download, you can track the traffic going to that page. And then you can retarget them, get back in front of them with other ads, other offerings. Maybe it's for your lead magnet, for your paid program, whatever it is down the road. But you can then get in front of them again. So I like the idea of having the opt-in on that page. I would definitely put the information there about where they can find your show. And if you're talking about a specific episode, of course, you're going to share, what that episode is about. And I also think that it's a good idea to have a podcast player embedded there on your website. So,
Okay.
So people can just listen to it. You'd be surprised at the number of people that just listen to it, on the desktop. There, if you have it embedded, they can just click play. And, maybe the way that I listen to podcasts is I'll, open my podcast app and then download the show so that next time I'm ready to listen to a podcast, it's there in my queue. That's the way that I do it. But people listen in all different ways. So some people will listen to it on the desktop.
That's awesome. So, it kind of segues a little bit into, well, what are your best tips for success with Facebook ads if you're trying to drive the numbers up on your downloads?
Yeah. So I would say, there's really two ways you can go about it. You can promote your show just as your show, kind of like a brand awareness strategy where it's like, hey, here's my show. This is what it's about. This is who it's for. And you can also do that. I think it's a good time to do that when you're launching, if you're relaunching, if you've got a new season coming up, something like that, where you want to bring attention to your show and talk about what's coming up on your show. The other way though is to drive traffic to a specific episode, talk about a specific episode in your ad. And I really like that idea better, just because it's more specific as to the content of, what you're sharing in that episode. So your ad can be more specific to that content. And then you can really clarify who that episode is for. So I would think about, when considering which show do I use for this strategy, I would think about, well, what is your end goal? Like my clients, they're looking to eventually make sales into their paid program. So then we want to have a show that's kind of related, the topic of that show is related to leading into the paid program. Maybe there's an opt-in shared on the show or whatever. But just kind of get people into the world and lead them down to eventually the paid offer. So what does that look like for you? What is your goal? Do you have a paid offering, or maybe it's an affiliate offering? Maybe you have an episode where you interviewed, the founder, creator of a tool, and you get really great affiliate commissions. So the more listens that you get to that show, the more affiliate commissions you're going to get. But just be very clear on what your goal is when selecting the show. And then also look at, which of my episodes have gotten good engagement, or will add credibility that, hey, I got this great, big name guest on my show that I want to bring more attention to. So anyway, those are the kinds of things that I would think through when determining which episode to choose for that strategy.
I love all of that. That just all makes complete sense once you say it out loud, because when you talk about it as a long game rather than just, oh, well, we're just trying to get downloads, I think that the way that you described it makes a lot of sense. So how are you seeing success, or are you seeing success with Facebook ads with your current clients who are trying to drive people to a podcast?
Yeah, absolutely. And so we've tested a lot of different things with their ads. And what we found that works really, really well is, using the audiogram. So we may create for social media anyway. Just plug the audiogram with a snippet, an audio clip from the show, use that as our creative. And then we put the little sound on sticker, because we want people to be like really clear that they want to listen to it. It's not just, a moving animated image or something like that. And then just be clear in the ad copy that it is a podcast that you're promoting, podcast episode number, whatever, or whatever topic or title, that they know to look for, and tell them where they can listen to it. I would put in the ad copy to, that you can find it on all major podcast platforms, wherever you listen to your podcast. Because again, just me as a long time listener of podcasts, if I see, that Pat has a new episode that I want to listen to, and he's promoting it in his newsletter or something, wherever he's promoting it on social or whatever, then I will, make a mental note of it. And I may not click over right then to go start listening to it right then. I'm probably doing something else. But next time I'm ready to listen to a podcast episode, then I'm going to make sure that I go back to that one because I really want to check it out. So just know that it may not get a lot of engagement. It may get, likes, reactions, shares even. But as far as the click-throughs and tracking those click-throughs, it's hard to, really translate that to the good results that you're looking for. Obviously, you want the lowest cost per landing page view possible, but just because you're not getting a lot of clicks using this strategy doesn't mean that it's not working and helping lead to downloads down the road.
That all makes perfect sense. And I love that you said to embed your show into your own podcast, or excuse me, embed your show into your own website. And I like that you're making it pretty clear that what people should be doing is something to get someone on their email list. Because if you are trying to just promote your show and you're not capturing that info, then what are you even doing?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So, many of us are, growing our shows because we do have businesses, alongside our shows. Or maybe the podcast shows turns, from something fun to do into, well, now I want to make some money from this. So I want to, develop some products to offer to my listeners. So just think about the long game, think about the end goal. With every strategy that we do, we're always thinking about how can we get people on the email list so that we can get back in front of them with our paid products or our affiliate products. A lot of people are, especially a lot of podcasters are affiliates for, maybe a specific set of tools or resources that are aligned with their audience's goals. So, have a way to get back in front of them to let them know about those great tools and resources that you recommend.
Yeah, and even if you're not selling any products, even if your goal is just eventually to get sponsorships or just to build your community, I think it's so important to be building an email list. And we've actually written about that on the RSS blog, and we'll have to leave that in the show notes because I think it is so critical, especially if you're using Facebook and Instagram and all these other things, all these platforms that you don't own. You need to do something where you can get a hold of that information so you can keep in touch with people so that if you do go offline one day, you can still tell them, hey, here I am.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so important. And I'll say something about partnerships and sponsorships too, that, having a solid email list, that you are, emailing regularly, that can help strengthen those partnership deals, those sponsorship deals. And another thing that we've done with some of our clients too, when it makes sense, is we'll run ads to their sponsors or partners, for their blog or whatever.
That's a good idea. I'm writing that down.
They'll be able to offer that, whether, they put in as another, line item thing in their package, their partnership package or whatever, but they'll work with us to run ads to promote, that piece of content or whatever it is. And that's another way that you can kind of, sweeten some different offerings, have some different offerings for your partnership packages. So
that's a brilliant idea. What a great idea for a deliverable. You're just dropping knowledge bombs left and right today. Well, I guess one of my questions is, can anyone purchase Facebook ads, or do you need something special to get started?
Yeah. So all you need to get started is you do need to have a Facebook business page. And those are absolutely free to create. So you do just need to have a page. So you can have a page for your brand, for your show, whatever it is, but something like that. And then if you are running ads on Instagram as well, you don't have to, but I highly recommend having an Instagram professional account as opposed to, personal account or creator account. And that allows you to into your audiences that are engaging with you on Instagram. If you don't have a professional account on Instagram, then you're not going to be able to get in front of your audience that is engaging with you on Instagram, not just your followers, but those who are actually engaging with your profile.
That's good to know. And I honestly second that. If you're trying to get an audience, you definitely need the professional account. Well, is there any reason that podcasters should wait to start buying Facebook ads? Like, should they wait on a specific reason to launch their campaigns?
Yeah, I think it always comes down to what are my goals? What are my priorities? And do I have, it is going to take some investment. And I teach so you can get started with a small budget with Facebook and Instagram ads, especially with this strategy. I would just start off with maybe $10 or $20 a day with testing this out, just seeing how it works. So don't think that you have to have thousands at the ready to, just throw at Facebook and then hope it works. Start small. But you do have to have some investment capital. So just be clear that this is more of a long-term play. So you're not going to, you could test it for a week and see how it goes, but you're really not going to learn a lot, in a short time period. So I would pick probably one episode and just kind of track, what was my activity, download activity before I ran ads, and now what's my download activity while I'm running ads, and just look for a little bit of a lift. And it may not be super apparent. Of course, there could be other sources that are, driving downloads to that episode. So it's not going to be perfect, but that's what I would be looking for. So just be really clear on, the benefits, but also, the drawbacks as far as tracking, that it's just not going to be perfect.
I love that. Well, I'll add to that if you're going to be directing people to a specific episode, this is why calls to action are so critical in your episodes. So every single episode that you put out, you've got to be putting calls to action in your episodes, because if you don't, then you've already lost them. The whole idea is we are trying to get people to subscribe so we can continue building our audience. So I think everything that you've shared today has just been brilliant. But I do want to ask you, I know we're running a little bit low on time, but what mistakes are you seeing podcasters make with Facebook ads? Do you have a little bit of time to dive into that?
Yes. Okay. So mistakes. Okay. So these are the things we want to avoid. Yes. The first mistake is lack of commitment. So the biggest waste of time and money when it comes to Facebook and Instagram ads is people will say, oh, I boosted a post here, or I put a few dollars to that there. I'm going to just try it. I'm going to dabble. And then they're just like, that didn't really work out, or I didn't really see the results that I was looking for. So I'm just going to, move on to something else. So when you are serious about growing your platform, growing your show, growing your business, growing your brand, then you want to pick a marketing strategy and, down the road have several marketing channels that are working for you, but that you're consistent about. Just like when we're starting our show, the people that are like, maybe I'll release an episode here, maybe I'll do another one there. They're not going to see that growth and the benefits of having a podcast if they're just dabbling with it. So be committed to the process. And as I said, you don't have to start off with a lot of money. A very small investment will do, especially for this strategy. And then, of course, you can test other strategies as well to grow your email list or whatever, retarget people to your paid products down the road. But with this strategy, I would say keep the budget at, fairly low, $10 to $20, just test it out, but be in it for the long term. Another one is that people don't get educated to understand what the options are in the ads platform. So there are a lot of different options. Gosh, Facebook keeps trying to add more options for us. We're always finding something new in the ads manager, like, oh, that was there before. Anyway, but it is important when setting up your campaign that you understand what the different options mean and how to set up your campaign in the right way. So you've got to have some education under your belt. For this strategy, it's going to be very simple. I would recommend doing a traffic campaign, but just understand how to put it together in the right way. And so some of the main mistakes that I see.
That was a great segue into where can people learn more about Facebook ads?
Well, I can help you there. So as I said, I do love teaching people about Facebook and Instagram ads and helping them get over the humps and the hurdles that come with getting their campaigns off the ground, and also that nervous feeling of like, I hope I'm doing it right. I hope this works out. And so I do have my free Facebook ad starter kit that I'd love to offer to your audience. They can find that at monicalouie.com/Ashley. And it is, I think it's a really cool guide. It takes you through the 6 simple steps for creating campaigns that convert. So you know exactly what to plan for when you dive into the ads manager. And there's a checklist. I myself love a good checklist. So I have a checklist in there for you so you can put together everything. You can get clear on what episode you want to promote, who you want to target, what you want to, use for your ad creative and your copy. You can get that all figured out before you go into the ads manager. So then it's just boom, 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 set it up. There's a glossary. So if you're new to the world of Facebook ads, it kind of has its own language. So I like to, clarify what some of these terms mean. What's the difference between a campaign and an ad? What does that mean? And so I've got a glossary in there too. So you can find that at monicalouie.com/.
All right. Yeah, we will definitely leave that in the show notes along with all of your links. Speaking of, where can we find you online?
Yes. So I do have a podcast, the Flourish to Seven Figures podcast. And so you can definitely listen to that. It is on hold right now, but I definitely want to bring it back in the new year. So that's my plan. I love podcasting. I'm a huge fan of podcasting. And so I'm going to bring it back next year. And also my main website is monicalouie.com, and you can find my podcast, everything about working with me, hiring our agency, my program Flourish is linked there as well. So that would be the main place.
Awesome. And well, the good thing is, like, even though you haven't, you've had the podcast on hold for a little bit, it's still driving traffic. And not only that, a lot of those episodes seem to be a little bit evergreen so far. And so it's, even though some of it, I'm sure, changes and there's ebbs and flows and whatnot, but you've got a lot of great content there.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. It's so fun to do. And I really miss it. So I'm definitely bringing it back in the new year.
That's exciting. Well, I have to ask you the one last question that I ask everyone before I let them go. And that is, what is one question I didn't ask you wish I had?
Okay. So I would say, what do you do when your Facebook ads aren't working or you feel like they could be working better? So what are the different elements to test? So with that, there are 3 key pillars of high converting Facebook ads, 3 key elements that need to work together. So the first one is your offer. So that would be, in this case, with the strategy we've been talking about, your show that you're promoting, your episode that you're promoting. So that's your offer. And then you've got to get it in front of the right audience. So if you're finding that it's not really getting much engagement, I'm not seeing, more download, I'm just not sure that it's working. Again, it's going to be kind of hard to tell. But if you're just thinking you do better, then maybe you need to test a different audience. So we can test multiple different audiences with all of our strategies. So test a different audience, but you've got to get that offer in front of the right audience. Then you do that with a high converting ad. So it may be that, okay, I think my audience is solid. I think these are people who are interested in what I share on my show and my offerings, but my ad just isn't really connecting. I'm not getting a lot of engagement on it. So test a different creative, maybe test a different headline, different ad copy, test those different elements. A lot of times just changing the creative, maybe it's this audiogram versus a static picture or like a boomerang or, some little animated GIF or something in your creative. Just changing that can lead to drastic differences in results. So we find that when if we're testing different audiences, anytime we want to kind of fine tune some things, then we'll definitely be testing different creatives and different versions of our ad copy.
Wow. That's intense. That seems like a lot, but that's why you have an ads manager, right?
Yeah. Well, and it's a lot of fun. I think it's really fun to get creative, brainstorm the different types of ads that you can promote. But then also get clear on the targeting and what audiences are likely to be interested in your efforts.
Well, speaking of, one of the cool things about RSS is our analytics will actually not only show you what countries and cities are listening, but they'll tell you the time of day, they'll tell you their ages, they'll tell you a lot of demographic information, including what device they're listening on. So can stuff like that be used in Facebook ads?
Absolutely. The more that you understand about your audience and who is listening, then the easier it's going to be to be able to write the copy in your ad, in your show notes, to attract the right listener. And then it'll help with your targeting as well when it comes to Facebook ads. You'll know who is likely to be interested in your show. So definitely all of that is super helpful.
That's fantastic. Well, is there anything else that you want to add before I let you go?
I just think that podcasting is a great way to build your audience, and Facebook ads can definitely help you do that. So I'm just really excited and honored to be here. So thank you so much for having me, Ashley.
Well, my fellow podcasters, we hope you enjoyed the insights, tips, and ideas shared in this episode. To learn more about launching and growing your own show, head over to rss.com/blog. And if you're ready to launch a podcast of your own, you can get started for free with your first episode on us. Thanks for tuning in.